Welcome to Backstage with Geoffrey Morrissey. I'm your host, Geoffrey Morrissey. It is part one of our 5-year anniversary show. My guest today is a Grammy Award winner, is headline Newport Folk, and is now a best-selling author. It is Jeff Tweedy from Wilco. Thank you so much for taking the time today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So in 5 years, this is the first time I've had a fellow Jeff on. So I figured I would ask, what are your thoughts about the name? Is it one that you have always liked, sort of have...
No.
No?
Nope.
Really?
And yours is spelled wrong, but that's okay.
True. Yes,
You know.
yes.
No, I don't think I ever really felt comfortable with the name Jeff. I always wished that my name was Scott, which is my middle name.
Mm-hmm.
But but I've gotten used to it.
Yeah, I guess you have to at a certain point. Did you ever think about going as Scott when you started recording?
No.
Mm-hmm.
No. My mother misspelled Scott on the birth certificate, so it's Scott with one T, like snot.
Oh, interesting.
So that kind of inhibited it a little bit.
So my aunt, when she went for her nursing license, never realized her name was Donna, always spelt it with two N's. My grandfather gave the name to the nurse when she was born. It has been spelt with one N for the past 50-something years. She never knew until like 25 years into her life.
Wow.
Yeah, so now we have even more in common.
Yeah.
And to list a third thing, your Twitter bio is something I really like, insecurity expert, which is so great. So walk me through that. Still dealing with feelings of insecurity even after all the success.
Oh yeah, I think it's a human condition. I don't think that I think if I woke up one day and was all of a sudden really self-assured and self-possessed in a way that I'd never experienced before, I would probably be less compelled to keep creating. I don't know. I think it's part of what pushes me to I don't know, explore and change and grow and I don't know, I like to think I'm getting better at things. And I guess you have to think that you need to get better at things to do that, and I do. I definitely feel like I need to get better at things.
What would you say is the biggest thing that you need to get better at?
Oh, it's more like just expressing myself on the guitar, or figuring out a better chord structure for something, or just songwriting primarily. I still push myself to try and get better at that, and writing a book, I had to push myself to get better at writing prose, and I don't know, I just like the idea of improvement.
Well, something I think that people need to improve on are their late-night TV performances, because you set the bar so high with Let's Go Rain on Colbert a couple nights back. I loved sort of the set design for that and the dancing and all of it. So tell me how that came together, how you sort of got the creative with that, and how it all came together at the Ed Sullivan Theater.
Well, the song's loosely based on the story of Noah's Ark. And so weeks before our performance, I got in touch with the people at Colbert and just pitched an idea to them. Just kind of brainstormed with them, like, what can we do? I wanted to have lots of animals, just kind of, the initial idea was just to have animals keep coming out through the whole song, until we started to get to people on unicycles and pairs, pairs of cops and pairs of fire eaters and stuff. Just get more and more ridiculous, like what would you put on an ark today? I don't know. But that wasn't a feasible or workable concept. So they just really, to be honest, they were just so excited to like have something to run with, and then we just kept sending stuff back and forth, and that's where we landed. They really did the bulk of the work. It was just an idea I pitched, and then they really made it happen.
Let's Go Rain, it's off the upcoming album Warm, and another song on that, Don't Forget, that I was reading the lyrics to, stuck with me. And a lot of them kind of reflect on the theme of death, and that's something that you've reflected on in previous work. I'm reminded of the quote from More and More, you have to learn how to die if you want to be alive. What is it about the topic of sort of death that you keep coming back for more, in a sense, that you have more to say about it, that it's a recurring theme?
I think I probably will until I die.
And then that'll be final.
Yeah, then that'll be the last word. I just think it's the essential challenge of being alive is to console yourself with having, to tolerate having that knowledge of mortality. I just think it's almost it's an obsession. Certainly for me as a writer, at some point it's probably going to get unbearable for people listening to me. But at the same time, I'm not sure that that'll happen, because it's just until people stop dying, I think it's going to be something that art explores, and people will tend to need some consolation in dealing with.
True, and I was just going to say, you're not there yet in terms of reaching the point where people will be tired of hearing of it. I've been loving the new stuff that I've heard. And Bomb is the opener for the record, and it deals with a lot of the same themes that you deal with in the memoir, Let's Go So We Can Get Back. Do you think that you could have written Warm without sort of going back and going through the process of writing the memoir?
Oh yeah, I think for the most part I could have written Warm without the memoir. It would have been it might have taken a longer period of time for all of those memories to kind of come back to me without concentrating on memory, But I think that those are all things that I've always have been floating around in my head to write about for a while. I think that the style of Warm lyrically wouldn't have been the same without the book, because I really made more of an effort to have each song be clearly about something than I ever have in the past, I think.
Was that more of a challenge in writing the record or more editing the record, that, each song had to be about something?
No, it was the challenge for the lyric writing, like going back and revising lyrics to try and make them more vivid and clear and specifically about something, as opposed to historically a lot of my lyric writing can have some pretty direct elements, but it tends to veer off into a little bit more abstraction, and I enjoy that too. But because I was focusing on prose writing, I tried to make it. I tried to stay focused on clarity.
Of course. And you mentioned in sort of writing the book, one of the big parts about that is memory, obviously, since it's a memoir. Did you journal, or were there any sort of databases that you could go back to sort of help jog your memory, or was it?
No, I journal, but it's not like journaling. I don't write about the things that happened to me today. I will just like free write or free associate, and just more like just play with language on a daily basis. But there would be nothing to go back and reference. I didn't write it as like a history book, I didn't like consult our tour schedules and try and figure out where I was. Occasionally we would fact check, with my editor on certain dates and things. But for the most part, it was just I don't know, ruminating on things that happened to me.
Totally. And as I sort of went through the book, there were some things that I sort of thought of, and the main thing that came to me was sort of aspects of your life that are out of control, such as whether that be migraines or hereditary predisposition to addiction or everything that surrounded Yankee Hotel Foxtrot. Yeah. That was the thing that came to me. There are things that are out of our control. Are there sort of patterns that you realized in the book that you're like, wow, that was remarkable, or wow, I never saw that as a pattern, but now I do? Kind of any aha moments where you were writing?
I think the only aha moment I had writing the book was it's something that was shocking to me that I'd never really put together, was how much my parents' autodidacticism, like they both taught themselves a trade. They both taught themselves how to do things. Like my dad taught himself how to fix televisions and program. Well, he had some help programming computers, but my mom taught herself drafting. Neither one of them had a high school diploma, and I barely have a high school diploma. And I taught myself how to play guitar, but I'd never made that connection, like that parallel that was very similar to their experience, just in a very different profession.
Huh. Well, there you go. That's a very interesting thing to note. And then in the book, you also sort of write about how you write your songs and sort of go through them. And one of the things I like that you say is, just because this is my story of writing this song doesn't mean that it overrides your interpretation, or you should sort of still have yours. When you look back through your catalog, are there songs that you went, wow, I wrote that in 1996 thinking this, and now in 2018 it's about this to me? Sort of, what have been some songs for you that have evolved over time?
Oh, they all evolve. We, as a band in Wilco, have never shunned any part of our catalog. We still play songs off of all of the different records, and they live on much more to me as songs to perform, and they evolve from night to night, and they always sound weird when I go back, or if I come across somebody playing in a store some record of ours, it always sounds weird to me. It always sounds like a cover, or like, is this somebody else doing this song? They never sound like the way we sound today playing the song. So so yeah, to answer your question, I think they all kind of need to be flexible.
Totally. And then you sort of mentioned you do play stuff from every period. How do you go about making a set list every night when you sort of have 20 years of material, you know what people want to hear, and you have to balance what you want to play to keep yourself sane?
The thing that gets harder and harder about making a set list is over a longer period of time, there's a bigger body of songs that I think people are disappointed if we don't play. So
yeah,
if you want to play a whole bunch of new material, you end up playing for 3 hours. It's just that there's a lot of newer things or things that you really feel like playing can tend to get crowded out. But we try and really make an effort to not concern ourselves with that too much. We try and play. Our criteria is to play a different show than the last time we were in that town. So we make at least half of the set list different. And we try and not just treat our new songs as bathroom breaks.
Yeah.
For the audience,
Exactly.
we stand behind our new material and believe in it, and present it as best we can.
No anniversary tours yet, that's for sure.
No, I don't. I mean, it's impossible to avoid a certain amount of nostalgia from the audience when you've been around for a long time. But we've done our best not to cater to it, even like a deluxe edition of Yankee Hotel Foxtrot is something we've kind of resisted,
Yeah, exactly. Well, perfect. I could do this all day, truly, but you're going to have someone else asking you questions tonight. Is there anything that you wish people would ask you about more often, or flip side, ask you about less, now that you've been doing sort of hour-long interviews every night?
No, honestly, I don't. I don't mean that in a negative way. I just feel like I'm so geared towards just trying to come up with a thoughtful answer for any question people ask me that I don't really sit and contemplate what I wish I was asked very often.
Well, there you go. Well, I will leave you with this. Who are you listening to right now? Who's been spinning as you guys have been touring this new book?
I've been really enjoying Lowe's new album, Double Negative, and Buck Meek's record from, I think it came out in the summer. Maybe.
Beautiful record,
yeah.
Warm comes out today. Please go listen to that. It is a beautiful record. And if you're looking for something to read, forget Michelle Obama's Becoming. Pick up Jeff Tweedy's Let's Go So We Can Get Back.
Or get them both.
Exactly. Thank you so much for the time today, Jeff. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.